What's up, everybody, and welcome to ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. I'm Drew Bosley. That's the one, the only, Scott Savage. Scott, what's up, buddy?
Oh, I was just saying just before now, we're playing some Zelda, and I've been horsing around a lot. Those little bird glider things, how many propellers do you think you can strap to it?
Good question. Good question. Dude, I'm on what you reference as Tutorial Island still. So I feel like I've been there forever, but I'm still hanging out there.
Like, it does. It hangs on a little while, yeah. But don't worry, it will open up quickly for you.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to getting to that point too, where all of a sudden it just starts to kind of explode and open the world towards moving forward a little bit instead of getting told this is how this works, this is how this works, which is granted, dude. I feel like a lot of it is necessary in the latest Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. I'm like, cool, you got some new mechanics here. I do like that it's not, okay, here's a tutorial, boom, 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 boom. Here's your check boxes. You've done that. Okay, now move on. We've had some games recently come up where the tutorial is like so heavily in your face that it just drives me nuts. I like it when developers just kind of integrate it as you progress through the game. Like Jedi Survivor, dude, we're like 3/4 of the way through the game. We're still getting introduced to new mechanics, and it's like, hey, now you gain this ability, and this is how you go off and do this. Or Last of Us, really good, kind of setting the story along with the tutorial. There's just little subtle touches like that I absolutely adore when it's crafted so well. And Tears of the Kingdom seems to be doing that for the most part, but some of it is kind of, okay, this is how you cook, and then this is how you do it when you get to cooking. I'm like, okay.
I think you can kind of skip through it, but you're going to want to talk to most of those people.
No, absolutely, and that's the thing. I'm like, I don't want to miss anything here, so I'm like, I'm invested, dude. I was playing last night. We jumped off a siege. And I'm like, yo, I'm crashing. I'm gonna go to bed, but I don't really go to bed. I go to bed and grab my Switch, and I was gaming in Tears of the Kingdom till 1 a.m. I'm like, all right, now I should probably get some sleep. But dude, there's no time to sleep right now, as we're live over on youtube.com/InsideTheGameOfficial, as well as twitch.tv/InsideTheGame. Nope. Man, one of these days I'm going to get this right. The official ITG. We got to get that fixed. Somebody just needs to give us our Inside the Game, and it'll all be solved, Scott. But until that day, people can find us later at InsideTheGame.ca, and of course, those TV streaming networks around the globe. Coming up on today's show, some hopes and dreams are put to rest as Industry Insider says that Dragon Age Dreadwolf and Ghost of Tsushima 2 will not be at the PlayStation Showcase next week. Overwatch 2 gets a disappointing news. This one has me a little baffled, yeah. And Persona 3 Remake coming to the Xbox Showcase, Scott. We did get a bunch of Persona news last year. Persona 3 Remake, pretty cool. Not for me, but still pretty cool.
The release schedule has been so crazy since that. I still haven't gotten to play Persona.
There's so much. Dude, September just keeps stacking and stacking and stacking. I'm terrified. But dude, let's get into it. Dragon Age Dreadwolf and Ghost of Tsushima 2 probably won't be at the PlayStation Showcase, says Jeff Grubb. This is Michael Hardens over at PSU. Jeff Grubb has revealed on the latest episode of Game Mess Decides that the PlayStation Showcase is unlikely to play host to Dragon Age Dreadwolf. That one I'm not so surprised, but Ghost of Tsushima 2 is the other topic, which has me a very, very, very disappointed, Scott, because it has been years now since we played Ghost of Tsushima. Thought it would be a little bit further along in production, or at least something to be able to tease to say, yes, no, in fact, we are working on this, and this is what we got going on, and here's a new mechanic, or here's a new storyline, or here's something that we can kind of go with, right?
Does this, perhaps we'll get a logo, maybe, just to acknowledge it, but it's rather sad if that's all we get.
Absolutely. Quote, I might have just sniffed that out that, hang on, I'm starting over. Quote, I might have just sniffed out that, well, two things that won't be there, if that helps anybody. It doesn't sound like Ghost of Tsushima 2 will be there. It sounds like it probably won't be there. And another one, Dragon Age Inquisition probably... Whoa, wait a second. Nope, Dragon Age Inquisition probably wouldn't be there, Scott. Probably won't be there either. I'm going to say I think he misspoke and meant Dreadwolf in that case. So that is disappointing news. But it is exciting nonetheless to see that we are finally getting a PlayStation Showcase, not a state of play, right? State of plays are much more crafted and geared towards, here's a couple things that we have to show off, and this is what you're going to get. We want that big E3 spectacle, right? I think that's kind of what we're waiting on. And the fact that we're not going to get Tsushima 2 kind of breaks my heart a little bit. What do you think we are getting? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, that does bother.
Yeah, he hit us up in our Discord, Northern Nerdcast, questions of what do we think we're gonna see. What do you think? Any thoughts?
I'm really just lost in hopeful thoughts. IPs that I haven't seen in forever, and I kind of have the PlayStation equivalent of the Xbox. Well, what has happened to Resistance Fall of Man? What has happened to Killzone? Is there any spiritual successor coming down the line? But it's unlikely that we're gonna see anything in that case. I'm really hoping for a brand new slate, something new we haven't seen exactly, or maybe just. Unfortunately, no more information on Dreadwolf, but that would have been a good opportunity for that.
It would have been a good opportunity. I think it's a good opportunity to see Ben out there and see what Ben's been working on. Their last game was Days Gone, and that was like so far in the past now at this point, right? It's been years since we've seen anything on that title. It's been, dude, when did that release? We got a remake. Or a remastered version, I guess I should say, really. It came over to PC. You had a blast playing that. But it's been years since we've seen anything out of Sony Ben. So we're overdue now, I think, to see what their next IP is. I think it's going to be a brand new IP. So they're going to have something new to show, which is pretty exciting as well, right? Days Gone was a new title. People were kind of mixed on it. I think it hit critical mass pretty well. But besides that, it was a little bit of a sleeper coming in, I think, at the time. Which was too bad, because if it would have hit at a higher level, I think we would have seen a Days Gone 2 and where that potentially could lead us. But instead, we're going to get something completely new probably now out of Sony Ben. That has me pretty excited.
I'm still hoping for maybe some sort of transmedia opportunity with Days Gone. Could we do a show? Could we do a movie? Maybe a show is a little bit too grand, but
yeah, sure.
After The Last of Us, why not? Really, anything's possible.
Well, I think that's the other side of it too, right? I think they play more favor towards The Last of Us than they do Days Gone. They're kind of still in that same realm, right? How do you really take Days Gone and bring it over to the level where The Last of Us has kind of showcased what we can do with transmedia? Do you want to step on those toes, or do you just wait for The Last of Us Season 2 to come around and then just stomp out numbers once again? I think that's kind of where Sony's at. Then they're thinking, going, nah, I think Days Gone is gone. I think that's just a dead IP now, unfortunately, and we're gonna get Sony Ben into something new and something fresh. But what's not new is what I think Naughty Dog is gonna showcase, and this is where I'm hopeful, is that we're gonna see what is next for The Last of Us multiplayer, right? We came off of Last of Us Part 2 with such a great moment, and it was such a fantastic, beloved game, beloved franchise. We get into the TV adaptation over on HBO, or Crave over here in Canada, and dude, everybody loved it. Those who have never played the game loved it, right? It was just like, wow, it is here. You want to keep that conversation going. How do you do that? Well, you bring us the latest multiplayer, right? Bring us what the fans have been asking for. I think that's what we're really going to see here, Scott. What are your thoughts?
Oh, and maybe there'll be some sort of connection. This is coming up in the show in season 2, so here's a little bit more backstory on this faction, this one, and you could just kind of do a rotation around. These are the people you'll be playing with in the multiplayer, and this is a date. How about a release date?
Yeah, well, okay, so this is where I kind of get into my hopes and dreams and the hype, right? Is I think they drop it next week. So on the 23rd, I think it's free to play. Everybody on PlayStation can jump in, and then here you go. And then buy the battle pass, and then buy this skin, and buy that skin, right? They hired somebody to take care of the battle pass, the economics within the game itself. I think we're going to get a bit of a deep dive going into this. Maybe not too long, because I think PlayStation and Sony themselves have a lot to showcase over the length of an hour. The showcase is going to be about an hour long. So I think we're going to get into some of the nitty gritty on some of the finer details of some of these games. But at the end of the day, if they're going to drop it that day, they don't want to be there for 10 minutes either, right? Let's be there for 3-4 minutes of, okay, this is how you do it. This is what it is. Here's some gameplay. Boom. Get it today after the showcase. Like, that's how they do this, and I'm
that would be a
hopeful.
very strong move. Yeah, as hype as that is, and therefore it seems a little far-fetched. I don't think it is. That is possible for certain. That'd be a way to swell hype right before all of these, Summer Games Fest kicks off.
Yeah, and then if they want, they can showcase more at the Summer Game Fest, right? Because they are part of the Keighley Showcase event as one of the partners. He's 40+ partners. So PlayStation's there, which is great to see, and it's very exciting. So, dude, the hype is real. Like, I'm at a whole other level right now, waiting just for anticipation of this showcase to see what we're getting into. PSVR 2 titles are supposed to be here as well, which is nice because my PSVR 2 is just kind of sitting there, and I'm looking for something to kind of jump back in. I do have other games I could be playing, but we're just so wrapped up in other things too. But I want, what is that next showstopper, right? For me, it was Horizon Call of the Mountain. And I'm like, yo, I'm a big Horizon fan. I need to see what this is all about. And then you get into that world, dude, I'm telling you, when that tall neck walks over top you, like, you're just in awe going, that is huge. And it looks fantastic.
That's awesome. That's what I really want to experience.
It was awesome, right? It was goosebumps. It's like, gives me that goosebumps kind of feeling, and this is what I'm hoping that they're going to bring to the table now in next week's showcase, is that I get that goosebumps once again. Please do not put me in The Last of Us VR.
I was just about to ask.
No, I don't want it, man.
That's what I want.
You know, I'll play it.
It gives you the clicker experience.
Oh, I don't. No, I can't. I just can't do it. But what I can do is Spider-Man 2. That's the game I want to be able to play this year as well. Dude, I think the biggest thing is we do get a date. I think they do showcase a release date for that. More in-depth of some of the villains we're going to be up against. Venom, right? Craven in there as well. Who else is going to be in there? Like, over Spider-Man 1 and then Spider-Man Miles Morales, we've had a pretty cool suite of villains to go up against, and a lot of them too in the original. So who's back around for the sequel? Is Kingpin back, or is he still kind of off in prison? And there's so many other questions, right? So I don't know, dude, I'm so hyped. I cannot wait. But what people are not hyped for, my friend, is Overwatch 2. As it cancels the promised co-op PvE mode. Will be worked into a live service update instead. Ugh.
That's not what I wanted to hear.
This is the last thing anybody wanted to hear. Yeah, this is what we needed to know. This is Brendan over at Windows Central had this to say. In a new Overwatch 2 developer livestream, Blizzard announced that its original planned PvE campaign mode with hero talents and long-term progression has been canceled. Ouch. Scott, what happened?
This was the whole justification for Overwatch 2.
Exactly.
It was precisely why everybody moved to a free-to-play model, and it got updated. Overwatch 1 was put to bed forever, and now we're stuck with Overwatch 2, which is riddled with problems other than this, I have to say. I'm not so familiar with that ecosystem, but I know it is not well received.
Yep. Well, instead, the studio plans to incorporate various forms of canon and very not canon co-op content into Overwatch 2's live service roadmap. The first batch of PvE co-op story missions is scheduled to become available in Overwatch 2 Season 6, which is expected to begin on August 15th, 2023. The game director, Aaron Keller, says that by releasing co-op content this way, players can look forward to it more often and with more variety than we had originally announced. Maybe this can work, Scott?
There is time for them to take feedback and kind of change the direction of where it's going. I suppose it's more of an open story.
Yeah. Responding to the community's confusion about whether or not Overwatch 2 PvE has been canceled completely, executive producer Jared Naeus has clarified on Twitter that the original vision of co-op has been scrapped. Fans can still expect, quote, a lot of great PvE content, end quote, moving forward. Quote, a clarification that I wanted to make is that while we made the decision to cut hero mode and talents, we have a lot of great PvE content coming this year, end quote. Quote, big story missions, new cinematics, co-op events, single player hero mastery missions are all on the way, end quote. Scott, sounds like there is a bit of hope here, man. I don't know. What do you think?
That doesn't sound as negative as it first seemed, because this specification, we are getting some PvE elements coming down the road. Yeah. That's the big one for me, because you can add kind of cosmetics to a map, you can add a new map and call it an event, but that's not the same. That's nowhere near the same content for me. But if this is just piecemeal kind of, I can handle that. That's actually a lot better than I expected.
Jared continued, we can't deliver on the original vision of PvE that was shown in 2019. Weird. I guess obviously things changed throughout the course of development. I think that's the biggest thing, right? We saw a lot of changes just in McCree alone, and kind of how all that backlash went down a couple years ago or a year ago. And just the movement going forward for Overwatch has been a weird stepping stone, I think, for the studio over at Blizzard, and seeing what they're able to create. I think they still have a solid game. Dude, it is one of the games I do like to jump back into once in a while, especially when we hang out with you and my son and play. But he's moved on, which kind of breaks my heart a little bit. But either way, it is one of those things I'm like, you're taking out the PvE, but you're not. You're just introducing it in a new way. So I wonder if that has something to do that's going to help motivate the community to kind of keep the game alive. Moving from free to play, from a paid model to a free-to-play model is a scary stepping stone, I think, as a studio, right? Because it now turns into that games as service model where you have to compete with the likes of Fortnite. Man, when they keep pumping out new content, you got to be able to keep there at the same pace kind of thing, because if you don't, you lose your community, you lose that install base, and you're not able to keep that game moving forward. Instead, it just dies off.
They've reshuffled the whole idea of how to deliver this, but not necessarily the amount of content. I'm wondering if this is really just marketing. Is it a way of monetizing this free-to-play game in the long run, instead of selling me one $40, $50 chunk of DLC and that's it?
Well, he says so. What that means is that we won't be delivering that dedicated hero mode with talent trees and long-term progression. Those things just aren't in our plans anymore. We know that this is going to be disappointing to many people. To be perfectly honest, it's been really difficult for many of us. A lot of folks on the team have poured their heart and soul into that stuff. Dude,
that's a drag. I hope that stuff does get to see the light of day in some form.
Yeah, me too. We'll see what happens, but Scott, as studios are constantly changing and evolving, and things come up where things don't work. And maybe this saves Overwatch at the end of the day, right? You put this out and it doesn't work and everybody hates it, then what happens? So, I don't know. Maybe it is for the best. Time will tell. Scott, why don't you take the next one?
I feel parallel to the Halo situation, though. Canceling all the single-player editions.
Get me started. Halo is dude, I'm calling it. Halo's a dead IP.
Oh, that hurts.
Sorry.
That TV show's not going to bring it back.
Absolutely not. Okay, either way. Scott,
However, moving on, Persona 3. I love my job. Persona 3 Remake is reportedly going to be unveiled at the Xbox Game Showcase from PlayStation into Xbox. This comes from Michael Herodens at PSU. Atlas rumored PlayStation's on the mind now. Atlas's rumored Persona 3 remake is reportedly getting an official reveal next month, according to Reset Era tipster I'm a Hero 2. Interesting handle. The user said that a press conference scheduled for June will be evocative, which Persona fans will recognize as a reference to the evoker, which is used to summon personas. That press conference is none other than the Xbox Games Showcase, which is happening on Sunday, June 11th. This doesn't mean that Persona 3 Remake will, putting all these words together here, be exclusive to the Xbox Series X and S. Rather, it seems to suggest Microsoft has bagged marketing rights following its reveals of the console versions of Persona 3 Portable and Persona 4 Golden.
Yep.
As such, PlayStation versions will likely be announced a few days later. It's worth mentioning that this Reset Era post isn't the only source we have for the Persona 3 remake. Gematsu also backed up the reports, stating that it's heard a Persona 3 remake has been in the works for a few years after footage had seemingly leaked last month. I actually missed those leaks. I don't recall that happening, but...
Me either. Good.
Big news on Persona front. More of these coming to Xbox is more for me and a lot of other people to enjoy. We have an issue getting these kind of titles to the West. And if Xbox is going to be pushing that marketing, I think that's a good sign.
Absolutely. I think it's a cool thing to see. Dude, it's just not my style. I'm just not an anime kind of guy. And that's cool, but there's so many people that are.
Oh, yeah. It's very concentrated anime. If that's not your thing, it might be a little abrasive.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
The voices.
Oh, dude, I'm telling you, I just can't do it. I think you're either all in or you're all out, right? And I'm on the all out, but I do know that the fan base is there. When we were at the Fan Fest last year for Xbox, when we got invited down, we were all hanging out. And when Persona came up, dude, like the crowd lost their minds and it was awesome. And I'm going, yeah, that's great for you guys. But it was cool just to see the uproar and the excitement behind everybody that when they announced these titles were finally coming over to Xbox, something where I feel Xbox lacks is that JRPG side of things, right? So where it's always been so heavily focused over on PlayStation, Xbox fans have been missing out. So it's just very cool to see it come around and bring this over.
I wonder if Shin Megami Tensei would hit you a little bit better, being kind of the bigger brother to Persona.
I don't know. Probably not, just because I'd rather play other things. To be honest, at the end of the day, right?
When was the last JRPG you played? That's really the question.
That's a great question. I don't know.
I really can't answer it myself.
I'd have to take a look back through my list of games. We play so many games, it's hard to keep up. There is the odd one every now and then I pick up and go, I don't know. You'd have to ask Brad. I bet you Brad goes, yeah, the last one Drew played was this. And because I think he was shocked I was playing it. I can't remember what it was. Man, I don't remember.
Was,
I have to look it up.
Mato Anomalies. That was the last one I had played. I remember.
Oh, dude, I played that on VR.
Oh, wow. That's really cool. I like it on VR. That's cool.
Yeah, Steve and I played it. He played it on the Quest. I played it on PSVR too.
Ah.
So there you go. I think it was that game. I could be wrong, man. There's so many games. I don't know. I'm wrong all the time, but people like to listen anyways, which I appreciate. So thank you for sticking around. Scott, let's get into the next one. As BioShock 4's development is going through hell, as claimed Grant Taylor Hill over at Insider Gaming. On Twitter, a leaker has posted what seems to be an expansive expose on the state of BioShock 4, claiming that for a while now, the game has been firmly rooted in development hell. Ouch. It was alleged that the project had been rebooted 4 times. The studio boosted inexperienced employees and poor management had led the project crumbling at its very foundations. Scott, how worried are you for this?
That's awful. No, not a good sign. I'm not sure if there was ever any sort of issue with the development teams beforehand, but in any case, it doesn't make for a good game. Not
at all. In one tweet, Oops Leaks writes, with an unsourced quotation, quote, the narrative team has faced the biggest challenges as they have been unable to write a script worthy of renowned franchises over these years. This became a key factor of the reboot. Ouch. End quote. Dude, that's
they do have a very
yikes.
high level to raise to. They set their own bar very high. So that's a little comforting to know that they're gonna trap problems before they get out.
Yeah.
But I hope that just results in a good game. At the end of the day, that's all I want out of BioShock.
No, I think that's the biggest thing, right? Everybody loves BioShock. It's one of those beloved franchises. It's been so well known over the years, over the decades. And when you kind of look at some of these titles, you go, how do you topple over top of the next one? Like the last one was so good. Infinite, I think, was a little bit divisive as to some liked it, some didn't. And the way that one was told, but the original BioShock games are so well beloved that when you're competing at that level to then make another BioShock title, you better come in guns blazing and have everything cemented in perfectly so that you're not letting this massive fan base down, right? I think that's the hook.
Well, they're very deep stories, and both the BioShocks that I recall, and the third one I'm a little hazy on, but they get so deep into the different elements of culture and our civilization and everything that it really has to be intelligently written.
Very. And if you miss that step, you're going to get called out on the fans, right? The fans will call you out on that instantly. The way social media works nowadays, you're just done for.
I would much rather wait another several years.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens, but sounds like it's going to be several years before you get it back. So that's unfortunate. Scott, we do have an actual game out today, buddy. What is
the only booker in our near future is going to be your brother. We have a full release today, and that is Lego 2K Drive. That's on PlayStation 4, 5, Xbox One, XS, the Nintendo Switch, and PC.
There you go. Corey and I did review this game. Make sure you check it out. It is very cool. We had a great time playing this one. But Scott, just like that's going to wrap up this weekend, everybody. This has been ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. I'm Drew Bosley. That's the one and only Scott Savage. It's a long weekend. We will not be back on Monday. We will be back on Tuesday. So until then, everybody, enjoy your weekend. I'm Drew. That's Scott. We'll see you inside the game.